I'm gonna show you guys this. I did a hotspot on this, so this is like the longer version of my hotspot where the world is rallying behind the ICJ genocide charges. You have the South African lawyers who was greeted with a hero's welcome, which warmed my heart. You guys know the lawyers in South Africa, they are the civil rights icons of the world right now.
It's very
the
true.
world loves, they are civil rights icons, and they inspired the entire world what they did. Now, I think it was also sort of a strategy to have South Africa be the country who present the claim as the country went through apartheid. And then after that, this court case, now you have these other countries in a strategic way. And I think this may be outlined later. You learn about how this stuff happens later. I think it's going to come out later that there was a plan, get the genocide charge out there, create the narrative. And now you have Indonesia that about to take Israel to court to discuss and expose the problem with the occupation of Palestine. You have Slovenia join us as well. You have all these countries putting their individual claims and concerns against Israel. You guys see how it all coming at once? It's a coordinated international effort to hold these monsters accountable. So let's watch this video, and I'm going to give you guys a reaction. They're talking about how, and I'll just read the first part. Breaking, Indonesia will be taking Israel to ICJ court on new charge. So they're going to explain it in the video, so I'll play it now.
Is now challenging Israel's occupation of Palestine, and Foreign Minister Retno Massoudi says they're preparing legal arguments for the International Court of Justice.
International law must be upheld. The right of the Palestinian people to self-determination must be respected. Israel's occupation of Palestine, which has lasted for more than 70 years, will not erase the right of the Palestinian people to independence.
An Indonesian international law expert says the main hurdle is that the ICJ's decision can only be advisory, contrary to the South African legal case against Israel.
The hurdle is, of course, the advisory opinion is not the same as a ICJ court decision. Advisory opinion has only a quote-unquote moral binding. And this is addressed to the organs of the United Nations, which in this case addressed to the United Nations General Assembly. That's one. Secondly, if the ICJ made that advisory opinion, and if it is in favor of the people of the Palestine, the question is whether Israel will observe the advisory opinion. Will Israel?
So, wait, is it done there? Yeah, I think it's done. I don't know why they let the video
illegally. Said that yes. Said that yes, Israel have occupied Palestine illegally, because that is the main question being asked to the ICJ.
So for people, I saw people ask it. Let's see if I can pull the book up. Socialism and the American Negro. That's the name of the book. Here it is right here. If I get into that, I read this book like before we oh damn, I didn't mean pull the whole damn book up. Let's see, what is this? Oh damn, so you can just fucking read this shit just like that. You guys see this?
That book's in my Speechify right now.
That's awesome.
Along with some Hegel.
Yeah, I need to sharpen my theory back up. It's always, you guys should always be reading. That's what I'm saying. So this is a book I mentioned, Socialism and the American Negro. Fantastic book, fantastic read. There's a passage I posted multiple times because it was so good. Meanwhile, I don't want to hijack the segment too much. That's the book, if you guys are wondering. And I literally if you Google, I didn't know this. I didn't read it this way at the time. If you Google Socialism and the American Negro, you can click this PDF and it brings you right to the book. I don't know if it's like a free preview or whatever, but it's like really easy to find based on what you're seeing. But let's address the ICJ. And this is an advisory. There's no binding, as they explained on the Slovenia cases. But it's very important, like they're trying to do, lay out the case that Israel is illegally occupying Palestine. You guys see how all these international pressures are coming together? So not only do you have the genocide charge, this is about illuminating facts, awakening eyes, and delegitimizing the court. Because at this point, Israel's only argument, let me see if I can find this. I didn't have this saved, but I just saw this earlier today, how Israel doubled down with the South Africa Hamas thing. So let me see if I can find it. I literally just saw it not too long ago. Here it is. No, that's not the one I'm looking for. What the fuck is that article? I just saw it not too long ago. The article was how South Africa says that Israel says that South Africa is an agent of Hamas. Let me talk about South Africa. I should say this article. I want to find it. I really actually want to find this. Oh, here it is. I actually probably should say this for the story. Look, this is the legal argument that Israel is using. I did a segment on this last week about Israel making a mockery of the court by saying absurd stuff. In fact, they even lied about the beheaded babies. Like, how can you go to court and lie about something that was proven false? So Israel's argument is that South Africa is a Hamas, so we shouldn't listen to them. So at this point, if the International Court of Justice sides with Israel, the entire legitimacy of the court will be destroyed. International law will be exposed as the fraudulent thing that is weaponized against the global South like it is. If the ICC lets Israel off, we need to abolish the ICC and all these fucking hypocritical international organizations that exist just to go after the global South. So I'm gonna give you guys thoughts in here. I'm gonna read the headline. I'll just read the headline. I know you want to chime in, so I'll pass to you. But here's the headline: Why the global South support Pator's ICJ genocide case? So majority of the world population is supporting the genocide claim against Israel. You want to know who's not? The West. But anyway, no. Before I chime in on that, I'm gonna get you in here. What you about to chime in on, Noah?
Yeah, no, I was going to say that the timing of this is not coincidental. The West power is waning, and the entire anti-imperialist world is rising right now. And so as this happens, the institutions of the West are already crumbling, and this includes things like the ICJ. Remember, the only last month, we had the whole thing with British Guiana and Venezuela and the Essequibo, right? And ExxonMobil basically trying to demand access to all of these new oil fields. And it's just more and more going to wither the legitimacy of these institutions. And I don't mean to make everything about us, but we're here in the US. So what that means for us is huge as revolutionary. I mean, there's just opportunity.
Eddie, anything you want to add?
For sure, yeah. And I mean, if people want to check out South Africa's case against Israel, it's available online, and it's one of the most, or probably the best resource we have for looking at all the crimes that Israel's committed since October 7th. And they make it very clear that there are multiple times where Israel has launched missiles at a hospital or at a refugee camp or UN workers or a civilian area with no foresight that Hamas was there, with no evidence that Hamas was there. So the South African case against Israel itself dismantles this idea that they're targeting Hamas, but that's the only argument that Israel has at this point. So they fall back on the argument of, no, we're only targeting Hamas, and even, going to the absurd point of saying that South Africa literally is Hamas. Like, it's a clown show.
I used to do that as a joke. I used to do it as a bit. the whole Israel blamed South Africa. It called before the whole case started. Like, they're gonna call South Africa Hamas. I joked. We had a few laughs. Like, watch them say the Hamas thing, and then they came out and legitimately did that argument, and my jaw was on the floor. I was like, bro, we did jokes about this, and they are legitimately using this as a real argument. It's unbelievable. And the only people who buys this, why is this not showing up? Let me try to fix this. Let's see, is it showing up now? Oh, there it is. The only people not buying it are the Western countries that 100% support the genocide. You have Germany, who still feel bad about the Holocaust, so they got to support the new Holocaust. And that's what I don't understand. Like, if if Zionist Jews need a homeland because of the Holocaust, why don't you guys take Germany? They did it, not Palestinians.
Good point.
Germany to intervene for Israel at ICJ. U.S. Canada case say case is baseless. And wait until you see the arguments that Germans and French people are using to oppose the genocide charge in the ICJ. Doesn't it feel good to have morons as your enemies? It doesn't feel good. Like, and that's how I feel. We were talking about this earlier, Noah, with the people who go after us. Like, we got the dumbest, we have the absolute dumbest and most insignificant people who critique us. The people who go after us. I could not pick better enemies. Like, I got people like the Vanguard who attack us. I got people from the CPUSA, like the most irrelevant motherfuckers, the dumbest motherfuckers in politics attack us. You can't, like, if someone who was good, like someone who like deconstructed my politics in a devastating way, that will hurt, man. That never happened though. They lied.
No, they just like fling a bunch of accusations at the wall, hoping people will believe one of them.
Yeah. So the point I'm making, and the overall point I'm making is that France, Germany, Zionists, Israel, US, they are making it too easy with their ridiculous claims. Here is Germany that is endorsing collective punishment. You know, a war crime? Here's the biggest Jewish newspaper in Germany. The civilians in Gaza are not innocent. If there is such a thing as a collective responsibility for crimes, then this applies to the case of October 7th. This is the largest Jewish newspaper in Germany that is advocating for collective punishment.
That's wild.
You guys know how international law only applies to black and brown global South countries? They say, oh my God, there's no genocide. There's no war crime. Collective punishment is a war crime. How crazy is it, Noah and Eddie, that the revolutionaries, the people who are anti-establishment, the people who generally want to tear the system down, we have the most respect for international law. Like, I've been thinking about this a lot recently. Like, are we really tearing it down? Or are we demanding our government to uphold their values and principles? So we got to tear this government down because they're not upholding international law. So it's not the law that we're against. This is what the right wing would say. They're lawless. They want anarchy. The communists are crazy. No, we want a revolution so the ruling class is forced to follow the law for the first time in my life. So that's Germany. And wait until you hear, and this is the last thing we can begin to wrap up. Wait until you guys hear the ridiculous reason. I kind of spoiled it in my hotspot video already. The ridiculous reason why France will not accept the ICJ ruling. They say it's morally wrong to charge Israel with genocide. And when you dig into here, they said to accuse the Jewish state of genocide is to cross a moral threshold.
What does that even mean?
The notion of genocide cannot be exploited for political ends. This has always been our position. So what they're saying is you cannot criticize a Jewish country for doing something wrong. So a Jewish country can do whatever they want. Hell, they can implement slavery. What that was the Zionist Jews did in the first place. They helped the slave trade, so they can bring it back. And if we are against that, they would say, "Oh man, what are you doing? Going after the Jewish state?" This is just one of many articles. I've seen Fox News and the most unhinged Zionists say this all the time. Why are you guys going after the only Jewish state? You think making you a Jewish state make you above criticism?
You don't get it, Nick. No,
go ahead, Noah. Go ahead, Noah.
You don't get it, Nick. If it's Israeli slavery, it's moral slavery.
Right. It's like Israel saying, no, we're not targeting civilians. We're only targeting Hamas. And Germany's like, well, no, actually, they are targeting civilians, but the civilians deserve it.
That's a
France
good point,
is like,
Eddie.
yeah, they are, but you can't criticize Israel. They're allowed to do what they want.
That's a good point, man. That's such a good point, Eddie. So they claim that they're not targeting civilians, but then and not only this newspaper, but the defense that came from the Western establishment of Israel in the first place is that no one in Gaza is innocent. So if you guys are saying there's no civilians in Gaza, why do you have to say that there's no civilians you're targeting? That's such a great point, Eddie. I'm gonna start using that. That is a devastating comeback. But this is why I mentioned in my hotspot video. You have Germany, France, and media figures in the United States that's endorsing Jewish supremacy. the toxic scourge of Jewish supremacy, the idea, and this is shared by, for example, the top rabbi in Israel. You know, the top rabbi in Israel says that he advocates for rape in war because he believes that's a good stress reliever for his soldiers. Like, this is what he said. He said, we got to relieve the stress for the soldier during wartime, so we got to allow them to rape. And it's not really rape, because if you rape someone who's non-Jewish, it's not a crime. Because Jewish supremacists, and I would say the far right in Israel, the majority of them believe that Jewish crimes against non-people are not a crime. You understand? This is the statement that we fight against. This is the statement that the majority of Christians in this country support. You have evangelical Christians that support people who advocate for Jewish supremacy. The idea that Jewish people can do whatever they want to non-Jews. You have evangelical Christians, I'll pass to you guys at this last thought. You have evangelical Christians cheering on radical fascist Jewish people bombing Christian hospitals. Let me repeat that. Christians are cheering on fascist Jewish people bombing churches. How does that make sense? How does that make sense? How are we not the most brainwashed country in the world? Evangelicals are cheering on the bombing and killing of Christians. Insane, right? That's my last thought. Eddie, I'll get you guys in here and we can begin to wrap up here soon.
Yeah, I recommend people check out the book by Ghassan Kanafani called On Zionist Literature. I read it this year. It's the best breakdown of Zionism and the roots of political Zionism that I've ever had the pleasure of reading. Kanafani was killed by the Israeli Mossad when he was in his 30s by a car bomb because he was such an effective writer. But he shows in great detail that Jewish supremacy has always been part of the Zionist ideology. That's always and the dehumanization of Arabs, but Jewish supremacy specifically, and it shows you exactly what Israel is. They are a fascist state. They are a state filled with people who believe that they are superior and they should be allowed to enslave or expel the Arab population from their home. And it's the exact same thing that the Nazis believed in Germany. It's just in an inverted form.